Hi, Mike. Good evening.
No. Yeah, if you're going to use your personal profile for political ends, you really shouldn't be blocking people.
What personal profile?
The same profile that you were posting on the Friends of McHenry Township page.
Everybody has a right to block people who are rude to them.
If you are going to use your personal profile for political ends, there has been cases about this in the Supreme Court when it came to Trump and all the rest of them. So, just a reminder that you shouldn't be blocking people. Create a different account then for your own political stuff.
I don't understand how this was possibly illegal license.
Neither do they.
No, it's the fact that we did something and they don't like it, and as Mr. Bear has stated many, many times, anything he doesn't like is illegal.
That's bullshit.
Regardless if it actually is or not, it's one of his puzzles of choice. It's the same as calling us all Marxists. It's a word to hide behind. He raised himself up to the appearance of being the moral right.
Welcome to WebEx. Enter your attendee ID for
Oh, Dan was talking about making up a sign to say goodbye to 3 S's.
I'm gonna have noisemakers.
We're gonna have noisemakers and party hats.
There you go. And bring us the last meeting, right?
They have 2 more meetings left instead of just 1. Because if they had just 1, their last meeting would be on my birthday.
Oh, jeez.
And that would be a glorious birthday present.
Well, why don't you bring the noisemakers and the party hats to the last meeting?
Oh, we're going to.
Okay.
That's in May. May is their last meeting.
14th.
Yep. But their next meeting, April 8th, is my birthday.
Okay.
So I get to spend my birthday being berated by a bunch of people.
Not a bus.
No. They don't care though.
I
Because
know.
I'm just audience and peanut gallery. They don't care.
You gonna bake that?
No, do a public comment.
So, are you ready for another round of government is evil? And we're going to give you a perfect example of it?
Okay. But I don't support it.
Kurt, go on. Okay.
worry about social distancing. Don't worry about social distancing,
Yeah, but they could want Cheryl.
you know?
The Cheryl from Italy.
He wants some chairs.
Please put them on the side, you know. Oh, so there's
I'm sure.
Okay, order 7 o'clock, let's call the meeting order. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, roll call.
Trustees Anderson.
Here.
Rakestraw.
Here.
Weir.
Here.
Craig Adams.
Here.
Stan Wazowski. Absent.
Okay,
Called in, what was the comment?
his wife is very sick right now, I understand.
Thank you.
Okay. Public comment, I got a long list here.
Any public comment? Do we have any public comment from the call-in? Any public comment from the call-in? Hearing no public comment, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, first person is Brian Arnold.
Brian Arnold, Wonder Lake. I wonder if you three township traitors ever considered accepting defeat and bowing out graciously. We the people like our township as it is, and we support the services it provides. Are they all required? No.
That might help.
Thank you. But, hey, maybe back a bit.
Roll to the side.
Great.
Is that better?
Yes.
Can I start over? Or do you want me to keep going?
That wasn't your fault, so you can start from the beginning. Go ahead.
Thank you. I wonder if I can speak without it.
Speak without it.
Can you hear without it?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder if you three traitors to our community ever considered accepting defeat and bowing out graciously. We the people like our township as it is, and we appreciate the services it provides. Are they all required? No. But they have been available to us for many years, and to take them away after we've relied on them is inhumanly cruel. You are not human beings, you are demons. You don't want to pay for them? Leave. Sooner the better, in my opinion. You are lucky you haven't been driven out by the mob, as you call us, with torches and pitchforks. Our township is not perfect, it has flaws. Right now I can only think of 3 of them, but you can probably guess what those are. Personally, I'm a little disappointed that the April 6th election will not remove you 3 from your seats, because the sooner the better. It can't come soon enough for me. Thank you.
Did you want to, I guess you could change that for me.
Very happy.
But first, I would like to apologize for the excessive emotion of my argument at the electors meeting on March 16th. In reflection, my passionate advocacy for postponement to allow more people to vote safely lacked decorum, which I greatly regret. The other reason I advocated for a postponement of the vote on restoration of pay for elected township officials is exactly why we're here tonight. Because we've given the current township trustees time to change what the electors did, which may lead to more unnecessary township legal fees. As for the legality of the vote by the electors on this issue, I think it may be a question which could be decided either way in court. State law regulates the ability of the Township Board of Trustees to fix pay for future elected officials, and it bans the Board of Trustees from setting the pay of current elected officials. However, I'm not aware of a state law prohibiting a meeting of electors from setting the pay of elected officials. It would seem the intent of the law requiring pay to be set by a prior Board of Trustees well in advance of the newly elected officials taking office would be to prevent elected officials from raising their own pay without an opportunity of the public to vote on those officials who have set the pay. However, a meeting of the electors is an opportunity for the voters to directly have a say. So could a judge decide the electors have the right to decide without influence from elected officials of those running for township offices? A judge might rule either way, which could lead to costly appeals. For the current Board of Trustees to use taxpayer dollars to again litigate something the voters have overwhelmingly shown they want will only lead to greater taxes. Fighting taxes? You are not fighting taxes, you are creating them. All this in your effort to force upon the people of this community an agenda they have already rejected multiple times. For continuing to waste taxpayer money in opposition of what the will of the voters want, I ask you, do you feel no shame?
Mike Toller.
Mike Toller, Wonder Lake. So, we call a special meeting, yet again, to try and circumvent what the electors have decided. That's par for the course with this board. You continue to do this. The electors tell you things, we vote on things, you don't want them, you ignore them, the bus service, saving the road district, saving the township, and you keep trying to push it through. You whine and you moan that you have the power, but you forget that the purpose of the government is to represent the will of the people. And no matter how many votes you think you got in the last election and whatever mandate you think that gives you, none of you got any more votes than the people that voted to save the road district, to save the township, to save the buses. None of you got more votes than those three topics. You continue to just be an embarrassment to yourselves, consistently and thoroughly, refusing to do the proper thing and admit defeat. Instead, you try and ram things through like tyrants. I have one question about this new business. You're talking about legal counsel for defending the township? Against who? Are you going to sue every elector in this whole township? Is this township going to stand up and try and sue its own electors? Or are you guys going to try and sue the board, which you're members of, which would require you to use your own money instead of the board's money? This makes no sense. This is a pointless meeting, yet again, to bilk the taxpayers out of another $100 before you go bye-bye, for good. Go cry somewhere else. What's wrong with you?
Oh, they were mean to me. Daddy, help me.
Are you having a panic attack?
I said go cry to Donnie.
You having a panic attack?
I said go cry to Donnie.
Order. Okay, let's move on. Linda Toller.
Linda Toller, Wonder Lake. I have an honest question for this board. The definition of a trustee from the governmental side is a role played by elected representatives who listen to the constituents' opinions and then use their best judgment to make final decisions. My question is this. Is this truly your best judgment? Is it truly your best judgment to be nothing but antagonistic and utterly discounting of all the people who have told you over the years they do not agree with your actions? Or is, as this meeting suggests, never your intent to actually be trustees, but instead pervert a government office to use it for your own ends and your own wishes? The rest of the people be damned. You are showing your true colors by collecting your blood money from the township as the guise of emergency meetings and lawsuits and fights.
That didn't seem that was
That was not 3 minutes, sir.
That was on Mike's.
It's on my timer. Did anybody disagree with that?
That was not 3 minutes, sir.
No, it wasn't 3 minutes.
Well,
No,
they can create their own reality, so why don't you do it?
Let's start up.
Go credit Donahue.
Okay, I thought it was 3 minutes, so.
It was not 3 minutes, sir. I have read 2 paragraphs.
I don't think 3 minutes.
I timed this.
I don't think it was 3
You don't
minutes.
think it was?
Give her another
I don't.
minute.
No, it wasn't 3 minutes.
Minute and a half.
The last guy.
I can't do half something. Figure that out.
Just let her finish. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You are showing your true colors by collecting your blood money from the township in the guise of emergency meetings and lawsuits you invite so hard, trying so hard to go against the people you are supposed to be serving. I know you would prefer if no one else lived in the township, but that's not the case. You have lied, cheated, and stole your way into your positions. Hell, in one case, you even went so far as to have your friend get you in because there's no way anyone would have voted for you knowing who you are and the measure of your character. And now that you're being forced out, you lash out like spoiled toddlers. All of your slanderous insults, all of your father knows best, you silly children, all of your playing at being a virtuous person while stripping away the ability for people to live with dignity. All of it is what you will be remembered for briefly, and it is what you will live for the rest of your lives. You are truly terrible people, by far some of the worst I have ever had the displeasure of meeting, and I am honestly stunned you have made it so far in your life without realizing it. There is a small part of me that still holds hope that you can change, that you will understand how much suffering your actions are causing and be horrified by it. But I am sadly beginning to doubt that any one of you has the capacity to see beyond the tips of your own noses. I am ever the optimist, so I will ask you again and again at each of these meetings until the cloud of your negativity dissipates. Please, just stop. It's over. Just stop.
Rhonda Score.
Good evening. I want to talk about the fact that you're cutting down almost every function of this township, taking away money so they can no longer function. You know what you're doing. This is why there was a special meeting to freeze. When I asked them, I'm asking for raises, they just want to make the same amount of money they were making before. Were you like if you were working your job and they decided to cut your salary? I don't think so. In fact, being trustees, the 3 of you, and you're thinking that the next set of trustees are not dissolving what you're making, why don't you just donate half of your money that you make calling special meetings and running these meetings and just say, well, you don't dissolve it, so maybe you should just give it to the township, seeing that you charge the township for money that you don't think the next set of town trustees dissolve. As for cutting down help and services, you're trying to cut it down to the very bare minimum, so it won't be able to function anymore. Hopefully you will fail at that, because we know that that's part of your plan to ruin what we already have in our township, which is running pretty damn good. The road district is also running very good, and I thoroughly approve of his job. I don't believe that he should be punished just because you have a vendetta. That's all I have to say.
Robert Beltran.
I'm not sure of the point of this special board meeting. The electors express their will, and in any action the board takes pertinent to this meeting's agenda would likely be to contravene that will. Is that why you were elected or appointed to your offices, to contravene the will of the electorate? Since none of you are running for election this time, we will not have you, well, other than the supervisor, of course, we will not have and the clerk who doesn't vote, we will not have the opportunity to repudiate you at the polls. However, I would admonish any state or local politicians whom you might cajole into supporting your actions that he or she would get badly tarred by doing so. One concern regarding the agenda is the possibility that you would again hire secondary counsel. What possible justification would there be for that? Not only is there no one for you to sue, as Mike said, Township Council Militello has zero conflict of interest in these matters. Although you have failed to do so in the past, you would be required by statute to set the secondary counsel's fee in a public meeting. In addition, I would remind you that under Illinois law, only the supervisor or his delegee who has established a bond indemnifying the township can represent the township to that council, another practice that has not been followed. Historically, your choice of secondary counsel has been excessively expensive. You folks claim to be all about saving money, but you have used that secondary counsel profligately and with abandon, and with no apparent benefit to the taxpayer, as your objective is to bankrupt the township. Sorry about this. Probably trying to sell me a car.
Extended warranty.
Warranty extension. As if your objective is to bankrupt the township. In fact, you have used secondary counsel to oppose express wishes of the taxpayers. A 70% majority told you to keep the road district, so you're trying to dissolve it once again. A 75% majority told you to keep the township, so you're trying to discontinue its services, defund its personnel, funnel its resources into the pocket of a secondary council. A 90% majority told you to maintain the bus service, so you tried to defund it and increase its cost to the elderly public. Actually, I'm sorry, I think that's an 80% majority. I want to be as accurate as I can. And it boils down to one question: whether you are here to break government or make government work. Do you want to make government serve your personal agenda or serve the needs of the people? Thank you.
Last I have Laura, can't make out the last name. You could state your name.
Laura Kajita. McHenry. Kajita, yes. I'll be very brief. I know the previous speakers had a lot of things to say.
Microphone down.
Oh, hi. Yeah. Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the previous speakers had a lot to say, and I really appreciate what they say. I'm very brief. You know, I only just saw this agenda like about an hour ago, or I read about it, and I mean, the fact that we have to come here to discuss validity of decisions made, legal counsel to defend the decisions, I find it very disappointing that we even have to do this. It should be a common practice that everything is legal, that everything represents what the township wants. We shouldn't have to meet for this. It should already be a standard practice. So that's just what I have to say. I'm very disappointed that we even have to be here. So.
Okay. Is there anybody else who wanted to speak that didn't sign up? Okay, thank you. Moving on to new business. Discussion and possible actions to the legal resolution proved that the purported McHenry Township elector special meeting, which was held on Tuesday, March 16, 2021 at the Township Hall to abrogate McHenry Township Resolution 170521C, setting compensation of township officials for the term commencing on May 17, 2021. And all matters pertinent to the validity of said meeting and other actions taken within it, as well as the action is precedent and consequent to said meeting. Said discussion, possible action to include securing legal counsel in the Fayette Township Board before identified compensation resolution, invalidating all or certain action taken at said special record. Okay, first of all, I'm going to say this, and you're not going to like this. I do not believe the electors have the power to set salaries, only the trustees do, and they've already done that. So I think that motion is totally Absolutely not, Bill. And I know we have an opinion from our attorney here. Maybe we just want to give a general.
Sure. Friday, I was asked to give an opinion regarding the resolution that was adopted by the electors at the March 16th special electors meeting, where the electors met, and there was 2 items on the agenda regarding electors' powers. One of the agenda specifically items was the one relative to the electors' ability to set compensation and or nullify the resolution that was done by the board. It was asked by me, asked by the supervisor of me to look into that authority. I've expressed before, basically when you're looking at electors' authority and township board authority, you have to look to the township code. The township code specifically spells out the electors' powers, and it spells out the township board powers, and sometimes there's overlapping powers between the 2 of them. In this particular case, Article 30, that deals with the electors' powers, provides no specific language in there regarding the electors' ability to set compensation, to nullify resolutions, anything to that effect. So, in my review of that's my opinion. Number 2, the language relative to the township board, there's language in there that specifically provides to the township board and gives the township board the authority to set compensation. It's not just increase or decrease, it's to set the compensation, and it specifically provides that it has to be done at least 180 days prior to them taking a new term. So that's a section within 6520 of the township code. Now, the courts have looked at interpretation-wise and said, hey, sometimes you can have a situation where you have electors who have powers, and then you have township board who have powers, and then you have to look at it, because if there's specific language as to each one, then you have to read it and make a determination. Well, there's nothing in there specifically relative to the electors' ability to set compensation relative to the township officials, not only within that section, but also within the section of the township electors section. And I'll give an example, and I cited it in my letter to the supervisor. There's a section in there, for example, in 110-55 of the township code, where the township board sets that compensation, but it then is also approved by the electors at the annual or a special meeting. So there is that authority relative to a zoning piece where you have a zoning member being appointed, and then those salaries or compensation are being set. So as that is an example, you can see that the code spells out when and where those actions are taken. So I go on to further talk about it, and at the bottom line is the analysis was that electors, there is no direct language, and had there been language in the township code, and it certainly could always be amended in the future, then that would be a different story. So as it sits today, it would be my opinion that the township board rests with that authority.
Could you repeat that?
It's my opinion that the township board rests with the authority relative to setting the compensation of the township officials.
Solely rests.
Solely rests.
Are we allowed to ask questions?
No, you're not.
Well, I have some questions about this resolution. Mr. Clerk, did you sign the resolution?
No, I did not.
Did the moderator sign it?
No, I did not.
Why not? Why didn't you sign it?
Because I believe that it was not legal to do so, also a conflict of interest.
Why are there falsehoods on the resolution?
Sorry, what?
Why is there a false statement on this resolution?
Which is?
I direct you to paragraph 2. I'll read it to you.
Please.
Whereas the Board of Trustees of McHenry Township has voted to override the salaries previously fixed by the electors of McHenry Township, etc., etc. Since when did the electors fix the compensation of this board? I'd really like to know.
I don't write for this resolution.
Who did?
October 2019.
Who drafted this?
Robert Volcher. I did.
Oh, so you abdicated your responsibilities.
I'm sorry.
You abdicated your responsibilities to a complete outsider.
It's not my responsibility to do that.
Look, you chose to be present.
You let me finish. You asked me a question and then you let me interrupt.
Answer it if you can.
All right, when somebody brings in a special meeting such as you do every other day, my job is to take that, have an agenda made, set up the meeting. If it requires a certain time, I have to do that, usually 48 hours, sometimes 15 days. If there's signatures, I have to verify those, make sure they're registered voters in McHenry Township. It is not my job to go over it, find the legality of it, or if there's misspelling in it. If that was the case, you would have never had the one on February 28th, when you tried to block the electors from having the first meeting that approved the bus program. You tried to block that. You came in here at 1:44.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about you coming in here asking for a meeting which was totally illegal.
With the board. If it was illegal, then it shouldn't have happened. Okay?
Yeah.
If Mr. Dalton says what we're doing is illegal, he should direct his comments to the chairman and the supervisor. Okay? Now, I'm talking about why is this false statement in here?
I did not write it.
Did you bother to read it?
It's not my job to approve it.
It is your job if your signature line is on the bottom.
Is my signature on there?
Who drafted it?
You've been told 4 times, Robert Volcher.
Alone or in some committee?
May I speak?
No.
Well, you're asking him. I don't know.
What we have is a pseudo
You're accusing
board who tries to usurp the powers of the board.
No, well, we have.
And now you've indicated your responsibility as a clerk.
You don't even understand how this works.
Is that a true statement, Mr. Clerk? That the electors fixed the compensation for the current board?
Is that a true statement?
Yeah.
Are you asking me if they have the ability to do that?
No. I'll read it again for you.
Please do.
Whereas the Board of Trustees of McHenry Township has voted to override the salaries previously fixed by the electors of McHenry Township.
You're asking me to answer some.
No, I'm asking you as the clerk. Did the electors of McHenry Township fix the last term compensation for all the elected officials?
No.
No, they didn't.
So it's a false statement, right off the bat.
What's that got to do with?
And the notice for this electors meeting never said anything about benefits, amounts. So were you doing your job in vetting the process?
I did my job.
I understand that you said at the meeting that what they were doing was illegal. You did say that, right?
I did.
And what action did you take? Because
I voted against it. That's what action.
well, you shouldn't. Actually, you shouldn't have voted at all. Because for the same reason you say you have a conflict, you have a conflict in voting on it.
If I voted for it, or if I didn't vote it, you'd still say there was something wrong with it.
You shouldn't have even had any involvement with it.
You know what? You're really good at calling people out, right? Why didn't you say anything about the ethic violation that Bob Anderson did when he wrote a big statement using his position as a trustee to sway voters? You did nothing about that. And when I asked you about it, you said it was talking about you, not me, which is
Are you okay?
a classic example of harassment.
The clerk abstained, by the way, on that issue. Part of
Yes, he did.
Part of this is a big problem. Okay? In the public comments, people said they actually tried to demonize us with the word demon.
You are.
All right? they somehow confuse a small band of radicals, Alinsky radicals, to try and control the border. This is not the electorate. This is, 18 Bolsheviks who come to a meeting.
All right, that's it.
3 dictators.
Slanderous. I don't want to hear any more from the crowd.
Well, how about him?
Well, that's all right, he can interrupt anytime he wants.
Yeah, he left during public comment.
So what you've done is allowed an illegal action to continue, Mr. Aylward.
No, it is not.
Well, you just said it was an illegal act. What did you do to try and stop the
It's
illegal act?
not my job to stop it.
So this resolution was never signed by the moderator, is that right?
It is not, it was not, no.
In fact, it wasn't signed by anybody.
Wow, that's brilliant. There's 2 signatures on there, you asked both of them, neither one was signed.
No.
Conclusion.
What I have is, there's no signature line for you, but I don't know if we subsequently signed it. And then under the moderator, it says, refused to sign. Who wrote that? Who wrote refused to sign on this public document?
I believe John did.
Who was the moderator for the meeting?
Right there in front of you.
Open your eyes.
So in other words, this resolution has never been signed off on by anybody.
No.
Were there any objections from the public about it?
No.
Did the public know anything about it except the group that's here?
Yes.
Are you going to have control of this meeting, Mr. Adams?
Mr. Anderson was asking a question.
But I don't believe anybody.
Mr. Adams, are you going to take control of this meeting and
Oh,
stop?
that means you have to shut up.
Okay, Mr. Anderson was asking a question, I believe.
My point is, I don't believe the general public had any opportunity to object to this at all. And we just pushed right on through. And that's the way it works in the township. We don't want things and just push it through.
Just like you do.
Everything you've said.
No one believes that it's, well, I shouldn't say no. The majority of, including the attorney, does not believe it's a legal motion, so. It isn't signed, so we're not gonna do anything with it.
Craig, did you see the petition of who signed it? No, excuse me. Did you see the list of the people that came into the meeting that voted? Did you see the list of who was in attendance of that? There was supposed to be 36 people here?
I was not here that night, so I did not see it.
Could the board get a copy of that?
Sure they can.
Taking names?
And then,
I was here.
and who checked it? Who checked to see if everybody at that meeting was registered voters?
Those who checked at the door.
Who else? And who did that, Tim?
If you came, you'd know. Debbie McCreado and I believe Denise.
And Flo.
Was there anybody?
Was it Flo, Gab?
Yeah, Flo was there.
Okay, Flo and Debbie.
Was there anybody in the audience that was not a registered voter?
No.
How does he know he didn't do the checking?
Yes, we did. We checked them when they.
Did you check?
Debbie?
I don't care about Debbie, I'm asking you.
That
Did
is
you
not my
check?
job. I cannot check everyone that coming in the door and do the thing at the meeting. On top of that, we have different people that do different things. There's 2 people that took the register, that when the people came in, they signed as a registered voter. In order to do that, they had to show identification or a voter's registration. We have a list, I got it from the county clerk, and the Excel that has in the computer, the program, we can look up the name, exactly the same as if you come in to vote for whatever position. The early voting is done the same way. You come up there, you show them your voter's registration card or show them identification. It's done the same way. We had 2 people doing that. Every person that came in here that voted were a registered voter with McHenry Township.
Did you sign a certification for that, any of this? No. Okay. So, I don't go for this hearsay. Okay.
You having a panic attack there, Pierre? Is that why you giggles?
All right, that's enough.
First
You
warning.
don't get a judge.
First warning.
How many warnings are you gonna give, Mr. Chairman?
That's the first
No, how
warning.
many do you want?
Stop it.
Mr. Adams, I've been accused of making a false statement.
No, you may not.
Address that.
You may not.
Greg, I have a question.
Yes, Bob.
Did you contact QI to get an opinion on this matter?
Before it happened, you mean?
At any time.
But as this thing is unfolded, to see that if a special elections meeting should be called, and they can have a vote to undo what an elected board, decision elected board had, did you give township officials, Illinois, that's TOI, to check, well, I'm trying to think of the, Brian Smith, isn't he still the
Yes.
executive director? To get an opinion from him?
No, I did not. I got an opinion from our attorney, so, who says that it cannot be done.
Well, I think somewhere along the line, it would have been good leadership if you would have contacted TOI and give us a heads up on that.
In retrospect, Bob, you're probably right.
Pardon?
In retrospect, I would say you're right.
Thank you. Can't go back.
In any case, the motion, we're not gonna do anything with it, gentlemen. The board's not gonna do anything with it, so your resolution stands.
Okay, now I have a question for our attorney. Jim, so our term is going to be up the 17th of May, so we certainly know that I think you should ask them all to leave.
One more, and I'm gonna start.
I mean, that's total interruption. I have a right to speak. You don't have
You
to
do,
interrupt you from
you do,
that.
Bob. Okay.
Thank you. Where was I?
That you're leaving on May 17th.
So, there's a new board coming in here, Craig.
Mhm.
Looks like you will probably be the supervisor. So, is this issue going to end tonight, or is that going to drag over into when the new board takes over? Or is that a question that can be answered?
I believe it's a dead issue, and I should have the attorney speak to that.
We don't need any clairvoyance.
Were you
Okay.
recognized? You were not recognized.
Jim,
Are you the chairman?
No. Steve, I'll let you-
You call the public out constantly, but stop being a hypocrite.
Stop.
So you just
Mr.
shut
Attorney.
up. That'd be
Good
great.
question, Bob.
Thank you.
And I think where that's going to stem from is to what extent do the electors feel that they in fact have that power to set the compensation, and if the board isn't following what they believe was a resolution that they passed, then they would have to enforce that against the board.
I don't quite understand exactly how that would work.
So, similar to cases in the past, if the electors feel that the board didn't do something, in this case, if the board did not provide the compensation that they believe that should have been, then the electors could bring an action against the township and the officials saying that, it's a mandamus action saying you should have done something and take that action. So at this point in time, there's nothing to do until, if in fact the electors in fact do anything.
Then would this be similar to when electors
Absolutely.
said that we had to have a study before we had the township road district consolidation on?
That is exactly correct, Bob. That is exactly correct.
Then I understand it.
Yeah, but there's a little problem with that analysis.
Recognized.
Hold on. Go ahead.
The problem is, there's a whole other statute that the resolution violates, which is the 180-day rule,
I agree.
okay, which isn't part of any of the analysis. And there's no proof that the new board, in a complete throwing out of all decency because of their conflict of interest, wouldn't vote to accept what a little band of electors did at the behest of certain elected officials. I'd like to know how many township employees were there. Okay. okay? That would really be rather interesting. But just because Adam says, well, I don't think we should do anything, okay? There's a big problem if the board does grant the electors their wish list, and of course the board would be the beneficiaries of it.
I would think that would be an illegal motion also.
Well, a lot of things are done illegally. How many countries have we bombed? Okay, how many elections have we interfered with?
I would ask the attorney to take action against the board if that was the case.
Yeah, okay, well, this board needs a little bit more than that, okay, than the reliance of some vow at some future wanting to do something.
It's a totally illegal motion. It can't be enforced.
Now, I say we should adjourn to go into executive session on this. And the reason is the possibility of litigation regarding this issue.
Litigation by you?
Mr. Adams, again.
Yes, please. Crowd. Okay, we have moved for executive session. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No. Okay.
Who are you litigating against?
We have a right to know that.
You in the public.
Who are you suing?
Probably the Communist Party in Illinois.
You're a dick. Get out of here.
Hey, Bear.
You're
Part of the communist
Oh, that was
party.
separate subcommittee. Use why they got kicked out of lunch point.
Speaking of panic attacks, you're the only one that knows. You've been adjourned.
You violated the honor code at lunch point. No, I didn't.
Well, not like Cedar Steel, but you're the only one that was caught crying, having a panic attack.
If you're gonna accuse somebody, be careful.
No, they go behind.
Face your accusers.
They don't like the fact that everybody's laughing at beer every time you
What's wrong? Oh, when you're gonna walk away every time somebody faces up to you?
because he can't get off his soapbox.
Yeah, especially, yeah, here's another bully right there. Well, somebody else bullies underneath. Keep on
They're gonna be
walking.
gone for a little while.
Then we got.
You don't have to say, you like, you can do anything afterwards.
Well, no, because they shouldn't take any action in the executive session. If they come up here, decided on something, voted in the executive action, that is illegal.
That's how it is everything.
It sounds like they're trying to get legal counsel for after they are out of office.
Right, they're trying to extend their reach beyond their term, which is something they can't do.
And by the way, that's.
Whatever, Richard Nixon.
Is it against the law to show up for a public meeting?
Apparently it is. And you were calling everybody communist. You sure, but don't like to give us a list of people. How dare you attend a meeting that the government doesn't agree with?
I can prove that he's a dick though.
Dick and dictator.
Yes.
Emphasis on
A number of times he's called us Nazis and Marxists.
I don't think he's ever called us Nazis. We call him Nazis.
I meant to say communist, Marxist,
Socialist.
Antifa, and peace gallery.
You like that?
He never used the word
No, because he would consider that. Right, because he's the only one in this room that we know of who has a published article in a supremacist Nazi magazine.
Did I actually hear Bob say good leadership? Saying it's not good leadership?
He's here advocating this It's an abdication.
Yeah, okay, sorry, you might bicycle on.
He doesn't even know how freaking document is written or how to
That's the crazy guy that's riding his bike in this weather.
That's not how that fucking works, you know.
Well, yeah, nobody got warm enough. I can actually stand it. My daughter rode a bicycle almost all summer long. She lives in the city.
There was a false
Right.
statement.
Right.
Did have in 20 years.
She says it's cheaper
fixing the park of compensation. And
because I had to be under
we didn't reset it. It was
COVID,
not.
I had a COVID test because I had a colonoscopy.
We didn't do it. We didn't.
So there's nothing new.
We didn't change.
Technically, I could be here. I was thinking, just trying to keep things there, I was voting to take
Basically, we undid a check.
I'm trying to get any money off of.
Whether we have the authority, well, given that the statute says that we have authority over property.
I just, I don't know what came out of me.
There's a lot of baggage there.
But it is classically known as both intangible and intangible property. And the verbiage.
You don't think trustees want the money to get back half of what he made here?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's saying what they can do, not what they must do. It says that the compensation shall be set. It doesn't say that they shall set it.
You know, who I bought, I said.
And no, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't.
Affirmative and.
I don't get it.
There's affirmative language and I forget what the other term is.
Shit show's gonna be over in another month or two.
The affirmative language is, thou shalt do this. The other language is, this shall be done.
Sitting there and sniffling.
Well, this shall be done is advisory.
He was trying to catch Dan.
In fact, that is what the other word is, it's advisory.
Yeah, Dan seemed to be as
It's
focused.
advising that this is the way you do it, it's procedural. So this is how you do it. When you set it 180 days before. Huh? When you do it, you have to do it at least 180 days before. Right. But it doesn't say you have to keep on doing it over and over and over again. Because once you've set it, it stands until it's reset.
Right, because it's run complete. Set it and forget.
Yeah.
So then I went on the board event and I get it, I don't 100% get it. The only thing that they could try and throw at it is Dylan's rule, right? That it doesn't specifically say that you
The meeting was legal.
but
They
the property,
didn't do anything illegal. That doesn't make
we can argue the other side, right? That is,
like some people wanted to fuck the boss in the office.
Of course, money is property.
Still,
Said that after I had an attorney.
I had taco with onions in it, so.
Justice Stevens had stated that PC
Because I just got off a walk at 5:20 and should have been off
in
at
a
5.
case.
I always get
In a conferring opinion.
you don't need to cite the exact case. I got
We didn't get any one. Yeah, it was kind of big one. I returned it because I read the instructions. I'm going, because I had a rice cooker and I'm going, this is too complicated, too much cleaning. All I need is a simple
Like I said,
Attorney versus.
that's the one that I got. It's just basically a two-person. And it's the same thing.
And this was after, it's pretty easy tonight.
No, I have to look into it. My girlfriend wants to get me two basket one.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Depends how many people you're feeding.
just me.
Yeah.
And then one basket.
What faces wouldn't
Or you can do the french fries in one and chicken dinner in the other because it's set up two temperatures.
You're cooking two things.
I thought that's all.
Yeah.
I just use it for cooking like, doing like the meat and then other stuff is, separate. Or like, sweet.
We'll see if they come out with a decision.
Vern wouldn't talk to me when I said,
great.
Why were the state was not followed?
What do you expect about it getting from a guy who got kicked out of West
I
Point?
want to show them this is great.
Same guy got locked up in his room for 6 days at West Point by his
You got Phillips.
problems.
I think if you went to West Point.
For less than 1 year. Yeah.
He went to West Point.
Picture of it, but I don't think I did.
He made New York Times after
got so many-
as an abuse case
so
at West
funny,
Point because he got locked up by his fellow
Guys.
cadets for 6 days. He
No,
also made the
what
news
African?
again.
That's why he says he can stand and salute, because he says he's a veteran, because he's back to the
But he also
He
said
has so many things about people, taking your money and stuff.
But that's secret.
They're always on your money.
He also ended up on
I was looking to see
violating the article, right?
who their friends
That's all
are.
part of the
This
deal.
person
He lied to it.
It's not so hard. I will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. That's not a hard honor code, is it?
But he also ended up in the New York Times again after got beaten up by
Steve was wrestling
Columbia
man in
University
the executive session.
after insulting the cop enough that he found that he couldn't handle it.
No, that was at,
Columbia.
that was at Yale, or not?
No.
No, the other school, we went looking for the, Harvard. It was at Harvard.
No,
He was part of the Harvard campus security.
But he also went to Columbia.
Right, but that was at Harvard, because he was part of the Harvard campus security.
I'd like to
And
see,
that
I'd like
was
to
his
see
supervisor.
like a wrestling,
He got beaten up by his supervisor.
pads thrown down here, so.
Basically, because he doesn't get along.
He was getting kicked off of campus security, and kept holding the supervisor in the chest saying, "You're a lackey, you're a lackey."
They call that assault.
Yep.
This one you either wind up with a broken arm.
That's when the cop has the right to, he's force against him.
That he,
I don't think that has. So you're running, is that right?
No.
no,
No, you're not.
No,
Guy behind you.
just the guy in the leather jacket.
and over there? No, that's over there in the seat behind.
No, I would never. He was in trouble.
I tried to get
He's
him.
a pro. We all work together.
That's how good government's supposed to work.
Exactly.
Only 38 years of government.
I did my share too.
I still got called,
You were in the military, right?
ticket.
Of that also.
It's just, it's
Or you in?
Going to Arlington Heights.
Yeah.
Going to Arlington Heights.
My mother hired me.
He's on water, crack, so, maybe they got a vote, maybe they don't.
I can't wait for them to go. Last meeting, I've got noisemakers, anyhow, at the end of the meeting.
What is Craig Adams? Nice friend of the
Yeah,
right.
he's just.
Can we override?
He's trying to keep control of things as a supervisor.
Mostly not by here. I'm here just like relentless.
We're not going to first turn.
Because Veer ran for the supervisor position and lost. So Veer beat on him.
No, one of the other things was
That's
he
like the
had a
electors were right.
interview when he was appointed. Yeah. In that secret interview, which I have the receipt, he said, I will, he says, I promise, no, I vow, I will always defer to the township council.
What are you putting in?
You gotta make standards from,
How can you tell if a politician's what you
So they decided, the blue.
He loves it when we remind him that he was in
So I hope the people at the county board that vacancies or advised
Yeah, they have.
that they certainly created
All day, yes.
Really?
They have.
I had to go on the computer.
Right. I've got 30 plus years of a crusade in Bob Anderson. By his side most of the time.
We're not sure about
So we have Ahab, sleepy,
And Craig Adams was pretty resistant early on, but he's been beaten down by that. He had a serious injury that took a lot out of him. So then he also had COVID. So he's probably figuring, hey, just trying to get
Better, it can be worse.
Is there anybody that's running on that's?
no, they're all.
No, I know these three, but any of those that are running for this of the same ilk?
No.
That's the good point.
Yeah, I mean,
Are you getting rid of these just to get?
well, Terry's.
When he spoke.
Yeah, I know, he was kind of like a wild card there.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be selected. Were you at the special meeting? Were you
That's not.
He has to follow the rules and shut him down.
For violating the rules.
You know, that's kind of
He
a,
lied. The actual rules of.
is he going to be doing
will
that
not
at his meetings?
associate with those who lie or honor. I will not.
You know, he did one for all, he kind of
He
said,
won. He got kicked out. He got done with his father and cried about the fact that he had gotten kicked out for this.
This is in history because.
There was a legal proceeding and all of that. He actually got reinstated at West Point. He got reinstated. He got kicked out the following year for failing. He went through all this fight and then didn't put in the
Has there
effort to
been
say.
an attempt to recall any of these people?
we don't have a, we don't have
have
a.
an
In fact, that's something I'd love to see.
He's been trying. He's been trying so hard to find it.
You know, you could get even crazier people.
I have found the list of
Take them
the
all.
television
All these
listings.
people.
I have found that, but I can't find the episode.
Oh, Donahue?
Yeah, Donahue.
I did find the New York Times.
So, yeah, we need legislation to
That made it
empower us.
official.
You know,
Oh, he called the police.
60% majority.
And then, because, he flunked remedial math.
The people that vote responsibility step up to the plate.
Even I got an A.
Do their due diligence and do the hell
He
they're
did,
voting for.
violate Article and had 18 demerits. First thing, to him.
I had one as an auditor.
No, because he honestly thinks that he is a voter.
That's another thing about him, he writes multiple letters a year. And he can only get one a month, and he writes one a name. Probably it's his wife's name.
Yeah, and so, and I swear sometimes they publish it more often. Plus he had a guest at it. He's just
So like the last meeting, just be like, all right, guys, name the disorder.
Where he was invoked in his position as trustee.
He does. The beer does an
Just
excellent
give
job
yourself
of making
credibility.
Anderson seem like a sane person.
But he wasn't supposed to, you know, doing this as a trustee.
If it wasn't, for the actual.
Regarding the referendum
We've
about
been
the.
in for years.
So did you really set this 180 days prior to the election?
They reset the salaries 180 days prior.
Jamie just called me home. She couldn't.
On October 1st, 2018, we had a special election, or a special meeting of the electors, and we set it back to what it was, and that
I think I
was
should file the FO.
what Burr was talking about, was that he said, he was saying that it hadn't been set by the electors.
I would
But
love
it had
to
in
say that.
October 2018. So,
Like I said, it's probably your
all the
meeting is fixed in.
I think that was after May 17th, if they're going to go with any council or these three to try and do anything, if the board takes an
On a regular
action.
basis. What
And
happened?
they want their council, that should come out.
Geez, I wonder why.
right, that's part of my argument, is anybody who challenges it is going to have to
This
do
is
it
turning
on
on
a
its soul with anything that he's told to do.
Release anyone that no longer need to remain.
Well, The thing is, the Militello is such a straight shooter. He's very competent. I have great respect for him.
The fact that we're terrible, terrible people in the
I
world
sued
is
the
gone.
township back in 2018, and he represented the
Communists.
township against me.
I know we're communists, they're Democrats, because Democrat is such a dirty word.
I wish Gigi was here, she would have smacked him.
Oh, what was the other thing he called us? Socialists,
The mob, which we love.
the mob, yes,
We
he
love
called
that.
us the mob. Oh, yeah, and the mob.
It'd probably be wise to,
Really cool aviation magazine.
When you do it- don't rush, don't rush it.
Symbols with a hammer and sickle and all that
Oh,
stuff.
my.
He tries to do a good job for his
Afterwards.
I must
I'm
have
sure there's
made
somewhere. I've got the.
You want to be serious?
I will not provide truck.
Notice he didn't bring it.
Last
Last time he was complaining
In
about
fact, when I sued them the last time, he came over and shook my hand.
last name of the
And I really expected him not to mount a such a good defense, but he did a very good defense. So, yeah, he was doing what he was supposed to do.
Slanderous accusations levied against us by years.
last time he said, well, we're all a bunch of Saluzos, because last time he said, we were all a bunch of Saluzos. Biden said, he didn't mention that.
Okay, it's only $5.
Yeah.
It's just,
I should start playing some other states. It can be.
but it's just, the fact that he did, because we don't agree with him, we're trying to do something about Congress, is ridiculous. I mean, there's enough people, Republicans, and so why cars are starting to
Someone has a venereal disease.
Monica's mouth.
Sit back over there and tell I'm low.
It's below the hearing level.
Just got to shout everything.
Did you hear him talk to me tonight? He came up to me and said,
Yucky chihuahuas in his own voice going, you are great, you are great, you are great.
in favor of what you're doing. First I told him to back up 6 feet. The last thing in the world I wanted said 2 words. Yeah, we took standing up there.
Everybody could be targeted.
It was a pretty good day.
And then I heard they want to here. What are they going to do? Retaliate? This is kind of crazy.
We've been renting it for like 8 years. And they closed down the purchase to rent out the.
Cody, you have to remember, the meeting,
Yeah, we're done, right?
the time they want us to speak is only 3 minutes.
Contributed into an escrow account, so we had to walk it down.
That's the opening statements, closing statements.
I mean, they took away the closing, oh, it's 1 minute.
Well, they eliminated it? They eliminated it, believe it or
I thought they eliminated it.
I thought they reduced it to 1 minute.
I got rid of it.
Last I heard.
Oh, I think they eliminated it.
Good time to be selling stuff.
Because we're communists.
That's the one that gets.
He's a dictator, so that makes him a communist.
Are they moving to?
He must be a terrible lord.
Condo out there or something?
I'd never used it.
It's got downside, moved out there.
I don't think, lawyers, they're not like TV, they don't interrupt all the time, but people
That's
talk.
cool. Until the big one hits and turns them bad.
So how you doing, Rhonda?
Oh, okay.
Haven't seen you, Ron.
I know, I couldn't be at last meeting, I had a COVID-19 test because I had a colonoscopy that week, I had to be last. So that's why, I did listen to the meeting, I tried to get online to speak, but for some reason it wasn't going through.
Some people couldn't even hear what the people were saying. I mean, I was online.
And then there's anticipation.
And my friend Pete couldn't hear what half the people were saying here.
But I have a microphone, and for some reason, I think I was trying to talk over somebody, that was the problem. I should have waited until they were done. Because I think you should only listen to one person at one time, so I'm trying to. But I just thought of this, I mean, if they're so concerned about the trustees making so much money next election, then they shouldn't be making that much money. They should get a note, don't make no, have to work they will make.
She wears a helmet.
So if somebody can make food for them, they can make this amount of money, but the next electors can't make it. Can't make it, they get cut out.
That's what we're trying to, that's what we're trying to do.
I know, but there is, because of them, this is all on the issue, because they cut down everything that they're involved.
Yep.
So, I mean, even the employees, they cut things, they cut things down for the township, for the senior center, benefits, no district. Everything they cut into almost more than half.
So Honeywood's getting their money.
Fix the humidity inside the house.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's gonna be about 6 months.
So now, because
all fire dead paint in the sky.
It just gives you an excuse.
they were $75
I
a
went
day.
to Arizona
So I went to Jacob and
Why do I
Irish,
need
and
to
they
go
bought
to the vet and
2
have
more.
parents?
Basically, if you go online, will you like to give the good salaries they cut in half, or does it like go to the people?
Itself.
So I take the.
They're unemployed now because these jobs are started with no
Constantly be
funds.
going to hell. So stay out of the house for 5 hours and not go.
Which may give you unemployment, which is also for public government.
All pain never goes
So
away.
what do you say?
We can go kind of in the middle there.
200 feet.
Like, you know, Oklahoma.
That was still one of the lake.
I said ish.
So anyway,
More water.
Oh, I gotta start thinking more water, I tell you.
nice little extra cap.
I gotta get myself a jug or something.
You know?
And just go to Pacific.
So I got extra receipts. So they go in the middle of the
I
night.
tried not drinking water
I
at
had
the
to go out
job.
around
The
the
job is drinking some water.
How's that doing?
The job?
Yeah.
I'm getting a little aggravated because there's stuff in this warehouse that she wants me to figure out what it is.
You know?
And they're all wrapped up, it's like, I'm gonna have to grab the mattress foundations, which isn't so heavy actually, up in front to figure out if they'll stack them.
Figure I'll change it.
Because there's no notations on them. And if I try flipping them, the ceiling's too low in the warehouse.
Yeah.
So I have to, either take it back or put it, bring it up in front. I think I'll take it in back.
I don't know if I want to, I don't know if I want to go.
Well, I have to compare it to the beds. I think they'll stop. But I think it goes with the sets, so.
We're paying people off?
You know what?
Are we paying people off?
No, I guess.
Oh, I'll take money.
The water fountain doesn't work, so I'm gonna buy a beverage.
So anyway.
Hey, Dave,
So then Mr. Beer Price is called him.
I got an extra bottle of water in my Jeep, you want it?
No, that's all right. I'm gonna get a fresh cold one.
Well, let me know if the machine doesn't work.
John Deere. They changed it all over.
So what are we
Whatever
making?
happens now, drive over it or.
Yeah.
What are we making?
We are making a bubble Afghan.
Bubble now.
And if you give me 1 second, I'll show you.
I think you're right.
I can walk over there.
We can go. Do nothing, we can.
Oh, it's pretty. Let me get up, I need to stretch anyhow. After being on my feet all day, and I sit down, and I'm like, oh, so it's bubbles going into the bubble.
Yep. You can touch it, it's okay. Doesn't that feel cool?
So this is special yarn you got, which makes it.
Yeah, it irrigates through the entire span of the rainbow.
Oh, wow.
And does it over and over and over again, so.
Cool.
It will be absolutely gorgeous when I'm done with it. Me personally, I am definitely more of a crocheter. I never really learned how to back up in knitting, so when I make a mistake, I have to start all over again. Crochet, I like because if I accidentally lose this hook, it doesn't all fall apart. It's easier to fix mistakes, at least for me. There's a lot of actually wonderful YouTube videos that walk you through exactly what I'm doing.
I didn't even call it.
And back before the COVID times, I was teaching people. So once the COVID times are over, if you want like a refresher course or anything like that, or some of the videos aren't teaching you some of the stuff you really want to know, go ahead and message Mike up on Facebook, and we can get together and I can walk you through stuff. Oh yeah, I paint, I crochet, I embroidery, I do all kinds of stuff. See, this is like meditation for me. Whereas most people, you know, sit, have a cup of coffee. I'm sitting doing this. This is my meditation. My calm and happy place.
Nice meeting you.
Very nice meeting you as well. Yes, thank you very much.
I think you did a good speech. Thank you for coming. Yeah, good job.
What? Well, they don't really have anything to discuss back there. What they're angry about is we have this meeting, and yeah, the action may not be legally enforced, and that's fine. We're okay with that. The thing that they're angry about is our meeting, whether we can enforce it or not, put into sharp relief exactly how egotistical and involved in their own lives and their own benefits these guys are. How much they want to destroy the township is now in sharp relief.
It's a
And they
vendetta
are
for the
mad
town.
about that.
Too bad.
They're mad that we as electors have shown them exactly what we think of them, and they cannot strike it from the record. We have been, and they don't like it that we keep reminding them that they're doing things against what we want. They are not fulfilling their positions as township trustees. Oh, of course not, because they actually finished the sentence. Then he wouldn't have the higher ground. He wouldn't be the bigger man. The only way we know how to talk is through abuse. He has to abuse people. I don't think he's actually a lawyer. I really don't. He may have the bar and everything like that. He may have his license, but I don't think he has actually practiced law in years. And if he has, he hasn't been in a courtroom in years. Otherwise, he would have a bar record for him. Oh, he could be thrown out of any courtroom in the area for going after someone like he is right here. Yeah, having that sarcastic attitude and that sarcastic laugh, he's been thrown out of just about any court in this area. The absolute condescending way that he talks. I honestly feel sorry for him. You can't have any friends.
You should probably play it. It's a rest meeting.
Knock them down a couple times to make themselves look better. Yeah. I would be terrified to be his friend because I'd be worried the first mistake I made would just lord it over me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, but how would those are the hardest things to find. I know, but they, we know the wrong. I wasn't part of the interview process.
Of course they do. They want the list of names so that they can come after us on Facebook. And they can put a big sign out front that says, we're not allowed in the next meeting because we're all Marxists. Huh? Yeah, there's the April meeting and the May meeting and the gone. They will probably call an emergency meeting in April and they'll probably call another one in May. Yep. So they can bleed out the township coffers just a little bit more. No, we haven't had a single month where we haven't had a special emergency meeting. He's like, yeah, no. Mr. Anderson thinking that the only people at the meeting were people that are part of this mob that he hates. There were 36 people at that meeting. At most, in all of these meetings, there have been maybe 15.
Well, there are a lot of them afraid of virus now, so they don't show up.
Which means that of the 15 that have shown up in all of these meetings, there is an additional 21 people that showed up just at that meeting
To vote on the bus service and keep it funded. That's right.
I think the only one would be Carolina.
So, not everybody that goes against you guys is part of some great conspiracy.
Well, do you remember the first meeting when we voted to continue the bus service and we had to vote? There was like 100 people that over 100 people.
Oh, there were over 100 people there. Yeah, we were close to room capacity there.
Yeah.
The room is like 200 people.
Yeah.
We were right at the edge of room capacity.
And everybody, I think there were 3 or 4 people who voted against funding the bus service. The rest of us all did.
Yeah.
And these guys can get into their fat fucking heads. This is what we want.
Yeah.
That's what's better for the community.
We understand it costs money, and it's money we're okay
We're
spending.
willing to pay. Yes. That's what, $7.50 per parcel, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't realize
it's not even
willing to pay
per
it.
parcel.
They don't care.
As far as like how it comes to us, it's per year.
In case they want to use it against me in court.
Yeah, $7.50 a year.
$7.50 a year to make sure that the little old lady that lives on the corner can get to her doctor's appointments. Where do I sign up?
Get to the grocery store or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, my mom used it for the season.
You know what? Here, I'll give you a 15 just in case somebody else decides they're going to be a student.
Right, I'll pay no.
Granny gets to the doctor for a year, safely, reliably. Doesn't have to wait for PACE to maybe show up.
Oh, that's its phone.
Yeah.
The meeting wants me to, I think I told them we'll call a special meeting.
I really feel like we should tell these guys that for like the next month, they have to do all of their traveling by PACE bus.
So if you make a list, let me know.
They tout how amazing PACE buses are. Do all your traveling by PACE. See how many things you're late for. See how many places you can't get to.
Yeah, that's going to be about as successful as politicians to live on a minimum wage.
Yep.
Not going to happen.
Yep.
You pay for their own insurance.
But it'd be glorious to watch them standing outside the Jewel Osco freezing their asses off because the PACE bus might be here anytime in the next hour.
Yeah. Or it might not. You might have to start walking.
And if you go inside to use the bathroom, it's going to come right then.
Exactly right.
And your next bus, 3 hours from now. Hope you didn't buy ice cream.
Well, probably more so because of Mary.
Yeah, because she ran against.
Oh, right against them? It could be.
And because
My feeling is when they're out of office, the township can change a lot of this stuff.
Oh, I think they will be able to, yes.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
But now these three guys in here.
is for, as far as the pay,
Right.
I think there has to be a change in law
should be a change
for
in
the
law.
state
There should
level.
be, I agree.
But the
I really think
township can, the township attorney can work for everyone instead of what these numbskulls are.
I think they should put something into the law for the next round of township trustees, where we can have them
No, it's
removed.
not.
We can vote them out. We can't
I
do it
agree
now, but.
wholeheartedly. We need the ability to put in a vote of no confidence.
Exactly right, so no confidence.
If anything has the ability to do it, it's the township level. Because we could do it as a special electors meeting, call everybody together and have a vote of no confidence. Boom.
Yeah.
But no need to set up a whole, to pay for a whole election or anything like that. Just call everybody together.
But we can.
Vote of no confidence.
But I'm saying it would be good,
Give me these guys.
I think you need the whole
Easy.
populace
Well,
to decide whether to remove
If
something.
we even recall.
Well, we had that for the last 4 years, but we couldn't do anything because we wasn't in our power to
Frank
get
Wilcox
them
told me it's already
Right,
down.
agreed.
It's
We
not-
couldn't even call
I
special
also think
electors.
the
not
four-year
going
term is
Right.
ridiculous too.
It's already downstate.
Well, I don't know about
Should be
that.
2 years.
It's not gonna vote on
I don't know about that, but
it. Everyone's not gonna vote on it.
I just want to be able to have some ability to remove somebody.
I'm fine with it being a 4-year term if we have the ability to remove those who are not doing what the township wants to happen.
Exactly, that's what I think they should put in there.
It's self-serving.
Yep.
I mean, if all of a sudden, if the new.
Well, John could look and see.
Then it might be all okay.
They said something like putting in something for.
Should also put in something about the,
We think what you were saying about recall. Repeat what
we
you
actually
said
have the
about.
ability to defend ourselves against.
Oh, the recall.
Yeah, put a, so we.
If
just talked about
the
that.
trustees are attacking the township, we should have the ability to answer.
Exactly.
I agree.
To defend the township
Yeah.
and our own interests.
Or even if, like in the case of Mr. Beer here, attacking Mr. Beltram. Mr. Beltram should have the right to respond to his accuser.
Speak up and defend himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 3 minutes long speech, but you should have the right and the ability to look at someone who has accused you of something and clarify.
Well, you don't have for James Brown and trustees before.
Also, I think, didn't they used to have public comment at the end of the meeting as well?
They did, we had 2 of them, we had one at the beginning and one at the end. They voted off one at the end.
Actually, Anderson was the one who initiated having public comment at the end, early in his term. And then he was the one who initiated getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we were saying things against him.
We tried to get rid of it out, but they managed to get us listen to 1 minute, and I don't know if did he finally manage to get rid of it all together?
No, they didn't.
You wouldn't know.
Still 3 minutes.
I had it all
Still 3
written
minutes.
down.
3 minutes at the end?
No,
No, at the end is 1 minute, isn't it?
No, at the end,
There is no.
there is none.
no.
There is none anymore.
Yeah. It used to be we had 1 minute at the start, 3 minutes at the end.
I thought it was 3 and 3.
I thought it was 3 and 3
It
too.
might have been 3 and 3.
Was 3
I
and
think it was 3 and 3. Bob reduced it to 3 and 1,
Yeah.
and eliminated the extra.
And then eliminated it entirely.
Well, all my stuff on my plate.
He doesn't really want to know what people think.
No,
And like I said.
because he has his own agenda, his own ideas.
Well, because
and
what
that's
people
what
think
he wants to do.
that doesn't match with his agenda.
Not being
No.
ill.
Not that he cares about what we
He wants to hear
He's
praise,
usually going through it and stuff that's already in
and we
there.
aren't praising him, so
And
he doesn't want
if we don't praise him, we don't love him,
Anything
he
else
somehow
there's no
fear
right.
him.
If you wanted to have the drive.
And that's what we're doing,
do the whole
that's what.
And we don't fear him either, so he just doesn't want to talk. He
It's
wants
not
to
very
silence
complicated,
us.
he just wants.
Well, how's
They're
that?
coming
Do you-
back!
Do you new furniture coming?
What's that?
Your new furniture for your restaurant coming?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
It came in.
I'll have to do it after the
Well, not for the back room. That's not the first debate.
Oh, okay, well, that's the after Passover.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Then I can eat well done.
Correct.
I don't know, I'm thinking Yankee tax.
This week I've been really good, my God. She broke, you broke it, didn't you?
Don't say that, I might be there. Right in my
I wonder if Mr. Beer realizes he's still inside a room with a bunch of other people and that's what it's not right now.
So I was just wondering myself.
It is still, you know, state mandate that you wear a mask indoors. But he's stuck on it. I mean, especially for extra. These are laws. Laws are. Even if they're doing bad things.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
Oh my God. He has to actually care about other people. Right.
Okay. We're going to reconvene this meeting at 8:25. Roll call, clerk.
Anderson.
Here.
Rakestraw.
Here.
Beer.
Here.
Adams.
Here.
Wojcicki is absent.
Okay. Someone have a motion?
Motion to direct the township attorney to begin legal proceedings to have the resolution of the so-called special electors meeting to be held invalid. That will be binding upon the new board.
Okay, we have a second to the motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, Mr. Anderson.
Right.
Discussion. Oh, I'm sorry, discussion. Okay, no further discussion. Roll call vote, Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw.
Yes.
Mr. Adams, I feel it's already illegal, but okay, I'll go along with it, yes. Mr. Beer.
Yes.
Okay, the township attorney will do what's requested of him. Okay, with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Can I say something? I don't see any comment from the board on this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to have, we left it off by accident. You want a comment from the board?
I don't think you can do that.
Can I add that to the agenda?
At this time, there's no point on there for the comment on the board. You can adjourn. You could also carry on an agenda for next month if you want to continue that discussion, but there's nothing on the board agenda right now.
Okay.
Okay, let me ask this then. Has it not been voted on to have a public discussion at the beginning of every meeting and also a comment section at the end of the meeting for the board members for the entire time that we've been on this board?
It has been. Unfortunately got left off. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess that's just not an excuse. I think we have a right to have a comment if we want.
It's not on the agenda.
As long as there's no action being taken,
I guess
as long as there's no action being taken, this board could set aside that point and make comment. Again, keeping your comments limited to the same 1 minute period that was previously set forth in your previous agendas.
Okay, so you got 1 minute.
Okay, for all you folks out there that think that we're doing the wrong thing, we got in this thing 4 years ago, and we had no idea how institutional this thing is with the township. We really have had a rough fight. We've had to maintain what we said we would do, and we did it. And I'm very proud of the three of us that have stuck with it and said we did what we said we would do. This is all going to be insignificant in a short amount of time because our country is about ready to go bankrupt. Seriously bankrupt. And you think when the dollar is not worth a single thing, do you think that we're going to be dealing with all these problems? Whether we have a bus service or not, there's not going to be anything. This is all going to stop. You people need to understand we're in serious, serious trouble in this country.
Okay. Any other board comments?
Yes.
Okay, 1 minute.
First of all, the salaries for the township are way too high. Every term they voted to increase, okay? Whether it was 5%, 7%, step-up rates, 10%. Joe Stanek, a member of the board, in the years past told me they've lost their minds by increasing it every time. The work doesn't increase, but yet the salaries do. And as far as I'm concerned, these elected officials, these are part-time jobs anyway, and they have assistants doing the things that they should be doing. The governor has called for cuts by every municipal body in the state. We're in the middle of a corona crisis. And I'm appalled that employees of the township are behind this move to get their bosses a big fat raise.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I think we had a motion to adjourn, did we not?
We need a second.
My second is motion to adjourn. But the other thing is that we better back on for comment.
So we have a first and second. All those there signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None being heard. Okay.
I understand what you said, Mr. Ray.
What?
I understand what you said. My question back to you. If all of this is pointless, why does it matter? Why does it matter?
It's
No, I don't believe
and that's what we
How can you be social? You've already done it.
Who are all these employees that you're talking about?
It's already gone anyway.
Am I an employee?
I remember you saying you were eliminating services.
Because I'm not equipped.
Oh, he comes up and says, but then says the government spends for us. Well, you know, how would we do this?
There are plenty of folks that just hang around here, but they come from one guy.
And Mr. Vera, it's called a cost of living increase.
Bye, Mr. Bear!
Bye, Chuckles!
Good riddance.
No, I'm not.
So what's our next move?
I don't understand.
Who wants to hang themselves in the court of public opinion?
It is really interesting that they've tried to bind the hands of the incoming board, which in and of itself is not allowed.
No.
They're passing a resolution to bind the incoming board. There's your wrong thing.
Can't do that. That's actually not allowable. The new board can come in and immediately go, you know what, we're taking a vote on a resolution to undo everything the previous board did.
I know it's
Never mind.
You want more yarn for your birthday, though.
I have so much yarn. So much yarn. You do not understand. I have a room in my house that is my practice.
Come on, put sand in your book.
I have bookshelves. Full of skeins of yarn I have not sorted. I have so much yarn I could probably wrap
Steve made it sound like the next board can't have members that wanted to. Steve said that you're trying to run the next board, we would consider the, forget about the legality, okay? Forget about the legality of the whole thing. But they're trying to tie the hands of the next board. Can't do that. You start at the well, but that, they said about more. Yeah. They said about more.
Invalidating is one thing that's pushing out well over your power. Invalidating things beyond your term is not.